93(4)(b) of the Constitution provides that a person arrested or detained upon reasonable suspicion of his or her having committed or being about to commit a criminal offence shall, if not earlier released, be brought to court as soon as possible, but in any case not later than 48 hours from the time of his or her arrest. However, this is often not observed for various reasons. Earlier this year, the Director of Public Prosecutions, Jane Francis Abodo, expressed the need to have this constitutional provision amended and the 48-hour rule enlarged.
For purposes of us having some of these cases which are so complex, so that by the time because at the end of the day we really also don't want people released because that would be anarchy for the country. Every case will be taken and we shall appear in court, inter-party. There will be also counsel for the defense, and if we convince the judicial officer that actually we need enlargement of time, they will give it to us. But if it is also refused, that's really... but we're just saying the practical bit is that now we are dealing with crime, which has changed in terms of how it is committed and the people who commit this crime.
The Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Norbert Mao, now says it is not necessary to have this provision amended, insisting that the 48-hour rule should be respected and observed.
I don't know why it's such a problem to sanction a file. If you assess that the evidence is not enough, just say not sanction. So they release the person, they go home. So the 48-hour rule, in my opinion, should stay, because liberty is very, very important. And especially if the presumption of innocence is still a cornerstone of our law.
City lawyer George Musisi supported the minister, arguing that the production of a suspect in court within 48 hours of arrest is a constitutional right that should always be observed.
To place a burden onto the person who is a suspect that we should wait until government gets resources, it might even take a week when the police is not investigating. What will happen if there's one investigator or one state attorney who is supposed to sanction the files? Are we going to say that we should ensure that people are in prisons or police cells for weeks? So I entirely agree. It should be for government to give money to police, allocate more money to the ODPP's office to ensure that by the time you conduct arrests, there is enough capacity to conduct investigations and place the file before the state attorney for sanctioning. So this changing of the constitutional rule that it should be extended between 48 hours, it's a recipe for disaster because it can be abused by the state.
Meanwhile, Minister Mao has expressed his willingness to support the Legal Aid Private Members Bill.
We love legal aid, but we must also cut our coat according to the cloth we have. We are now agreed with the parliamentary committee. We are supporting the private members bill on legal aid, and I believe one of the first bills we shall be working on next year is the legal aid bill.
The bill, moved by Komi Municipality Member of Parliament Silas Ogon, had been tabled for second reading in May this year, but the process could not proceed after the committee report recommended that it be stayed due to its huge financial implication on the consolidated fund. However, legal experts argue that the problem is actually a lack of prioritization by government and not necessarily funds.
So I think it's a matter of prioritization on the part of government. I don't think it takes this bill seriously. I don't think it takes issues of access to justice seriously. We have seen other laws which have been hurriedly passed through Parliament. Sometimes even in just 1 month, a law has already been passed.
The object of this bill is to regulate the provision of legal aid services by legal aid service providers in Uganda, while providing for legal aid services to the indigent, marginalized and vulnerable persons, among others. Currently, those who cannot afford legal aid are entitled to a state attorney, although these are usually far fewer than those seeking their services. Benjamin Jumbe, NTV Weekend Edition.